My name is Sophia, but for a long time now, Uncle William has always spoken of me as the one with the black, round, jabuticaba eyes, too sweet for a face that already knew the salty taste of tears. I have 23 springs harvested in the valley where we live, where the houses are made more of memories than wood. To detail my curves, oh, an inheritance from my mother, hips as wide as gourds, 2 yellow melons with firm flesh, heavy with untold stories. The buds on top of them, which I learned to call dewdrops on an afternoon of stolen poetry, were pink and restless, which even I admired in the mirror. William already had the house of his 48 years, a man sculpted by time, made of blind knots and noble wood. A skilled carpenter, he fixed everything he could get his hands on. Broken chairs, clocks that insisted on stopping time, even Dona Elizabeth's broken heart when her husband left her and never returned. But William's own heart, no one dared touch it. Kept in a rusty toolbox under the bed, it accumulated dust and memories of a love that had left more than a decade ago. Since then, he had spoken to himself through the creaking of the hinges that he patiently adjusted and the silence of the cups of coffee forgotten on the windowsill. On that warm afternoon, when the sun was lazily creeping across the room, Grandma's old television, one of those tube ones that still chewed up broadcast TV signals, decided to fade away for good. The screen flickered, swallowing up colors until it became a blur of shadows and hisses. It was then that I saw him there, kneeling on the floor, his knees complaining of the weight of the years, his spine curved as if it was supporting not only his own body, but an entire past of stories. The plaid shirt that had once been blue, now faded like his smile, was wrinkled against the folds of time. His fingers, calloused from so many years of dialogue with the wood, hesitated as they touched the exposed wires. A man who always knew how to fix everything, hesitating in the face of something so small. "Let me help," I ventured, my voice breaking the silence. He looked up for just a moment, the wrinkles on his forehead forming deep grooves, like those that drought digs into riverbeds. He just mumbled something indecipherable and went back to his silent battle with the device. I could have insisted, but I learned to read between William's lines. Instead, I walked into the kitchen and reached for the old dishcloth hanging by the stove, the same one he had sewn for his mother so many years ago, when hands still held hope. I held the cloth between my fingers, feeling the past woven into each frayed thread, and began to wipe down the rosewood table, an heirloom he had polished countless times himself. My movements were old choreographies, bending down to pick up crumbs, stretching my arm to the top of the shelf, letting my dress rise an inch higher on my thigh. William wasn't looking, but I could see the rhythm of his breathing change as I approached. It was when I bent down to pick up a fallen screw that the yellow melons brushed against his back. He laughed, as if I had an excuse. I said, with an angelic smile that I learned in the mirror, "The cable is loose here." My hand wrapped around his, guiding the soldering iron to a random point on the circuit. His fingers were rough, marked by lifelong chips, but hotter, so hot that I thought they might melt the tin and my disguise. "Remember when you taught me how to fix the chicken coop fence?" I whispered, my breath touching his reddened ear. "How sad, it needs heat to get it working again." He swallowed, almost stopping. I heard the movement of his throat from afar. I traced the back of his neck with my free fingers, tracing the scar he had earned from his work out there, a dry river on his skin. "Sophia, try," he said, his voice like a cicada on a windy day. "Calm down, I'm just adjusting the tuning." I turned slowly until his back rested against the yellow melons, which were flattening, molding themselves to him like fresh bread dough. The dewdrops hardened, streaking his shirt, looking like a key code on the screen. The couple from the soap opera were now kissing in silhouette, shadows dancing. I guided his hands to the inside of the television, fingers over fingers, teaching him the language I myself had invented in the electrical engineering of the nights. This is where you keep the secrets. I pressed a capacitor, making a spark jump. And here, I touched a resistor, the place that hurts when it rains. William took a deep breath. His scent was of peroba oil and fermented sorrow. When the image cleared completely, revealing a field of sunflowers on the screen, he turned his face. Their noses almost touched. "There you go," he announced, his voice hoarse as if he had discovered a new skill. "It's working." But he didn't move away. His eyes, cold coffee for so many years, shone with a strange moisture. My hand reached for the thing, the tool where my heart was hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. "I've always waited to experience this teaching," I began, but he interrupted me with a finger on my lips. "It's called William," he corrected softly. "Today only." The grandfather clock on the wall chimed 7 times, like a mantra. Between the smell of welding and jasmine, he had understood what I needed so much, without filters. I got it down standing up, smiling. I took off what was there, picking up the unused cobwebs, and started moving quickly. I was the professional of the moment. As I watched him, I winked slightly, nibbled and said, "Today you're going to really learn what I do best." I guided everything with my hands, adjusting the right point, as if I knew the exact calculation. He smiled, listening to everything I said, without backing down. I leaned on the rack because, due to its size, I could use it while the melon was leaning against it. When Mom arrived at dawn, she found the TV off and the sofa slightly untidy. William was in his workshop, hammering a piece of cedar with renewed vigor. I, on the porch, watched the stars he had taught me to name. For the first time, the constellation Orion seemed to smile. "Is the coffee ready, Sophia?" he asked from the window, his voice now tinged with something that was not just tenderness. "Yes, it is, William," I replied. And the new name I had given him was a secret from then on. That night, while the valley slept, 2 clocks forgotten on dusty shelves began to tick again. Did you like this story? So, leave a comment telling us what you thought, and, if you've experienced something similar, share it with us. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell so you don't miss any new content. Here, we always bring life stories, reflections, and real experiences, all with great sincerity. Thank you for watching until the end and for being part of this journey. See you in the next video.